Hello everyone, Andrew Feel here. Sorry it's been so long. I'm not dead. It's been almost a month, and I'm very sorry for the late reporting on this. I know coronavirus is still large and becoming more and more of a problem every day. So, without further ado, let's get into all of the news. Some of the stuff is from a while back, so I'm gonna try to fast forward through the first information. So, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo congratulated health workers and first responders. The first infant died a couple weeks back. It's definitely a growing number of cases, mostly in New York, but it started to creep up in the other states as well. Um, a Florida pastor was arrested for holding a large gathering, and a New Jersey man was charged for disobeying state orders to throw a 47-person party. Whole Foods workers planned to strike over safety conditions pay, and Macy's stopped paying thousands of workers due to the store closures. Immigrant doctors wanted to help but are stuck over regulations. So President Trump really wanted to open the country during Easter, but he put the guidelines in effect till April 30th, and he's been trying to open up the economy, and I think he said May 1st he wants to open, so not sure exactly how it's going to go from here, but it seems like the governors are more in control now, so they're deciding from now, it seems like. Um, so earlier reports show that if I think if the U.S. didn't act at all, it would be 1 to 2 million Americans would die. Even with the restrictions, it was saying 100,000 to 240,000, and um, it says 1 million maybe infected, and those seemed like they were really far off um, earlier on, but now they seem like a little bit more realistic. I think 240,000 is a little high, but I think the U.S. is underreporting too, so maybe it comes to that level, we won't know about it. So, a Navy medical ship Comfort came to New York to help non-COVID 19 patients, to help ease the hospitals, and that was a big deal. New York set up a lot of temporary hospitals. 76,000 healthcare workers have volunteered to fight the coronavirus. A flight from Georgia full of healthcare workers flew to New York. Trump suspended environmental laws during the pandemic. The Empire State Building flashed like a siren to show appreciation for the healthcare workers. CNN anchor Chris Cuomo caught the coronavirus, along with anchor Brooke Baldwin. But Chris Cuomo has since recovered, thankfully. Fox News is worried about legal action after misleading viewers about the coronavirus, and restrictions are slowing the coronavirus infections, um, which you would guess, right? So Hungary's Viktor Orban won of his vote by decree. Vote to roll. Uh, Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko is kept sports open in the beginning. Told his people to remove the coronavirus with saunas and vodka multiple times a week, which is bad advice. South African president announced a 3-week lockdown a few weeks ago. It seems like I think they had a relief package as well, so they seem to be trying to do a good job. Andrew Cuomo's handling of the virus put him at an approval rating of a 7-year high. Andrew Cuomo sadly said he didn't want to run for president. The protective gear in the national stockpile depleted. The states are competing for supplies. A U.S. intelligence report found China concealed the extent of the coronavirus outbreak in its country, which is not that surprising because, first of all, they didn't want the U.S. to know like the origin of the virus, and that's been a big deal. And you know, they they haven't really been doing a good job of reporting their cases and deaths. Like in the beginning, you could see the numbers, and you're like, okay, that may make sense, but right now it makes absolutely no sense. They're acting like they did everything right, and they clearly didn't because they let it spread throughout the world. So, and I believe the cases are actually growing in China still. I don't trust China one bit, so that's my opinion. Um, let's see. China accused the U.S. of seeking the blame for its own coronavirus outbreak, and U.S. intelligence warned of the outbreak in November, so that was a long time before. Let's see. Coronavirus can travel through the air and breathing. The Pentagon provided 100,000 military body bags for civilian use. The FDA authorized the first coronavirus antibody tests like 2 weeks ago. 6.6 million people filed for unemployment. I think the number now is 26 million Americans have filed for unemployment, which is a lot of people. Dr. Fauci beefed up security after death threats. The New England Patriots left China with 1,095 masks. Jared Kushner spoke at a White House coronavirus briefing. For sake, Jared Kushner made a stupid claim about the national stockpile, and then the Trump administration changed the website to match Kushner's stupid statement. Data shows that black Americans are being affected disproportionately. So they're trying to see the results, I think, and coming out with data showing that a lot more African Americans are being infected and dying than the population of African Americans, which is sad news. Fauci said antibody tests will come out soon. Um, verifies if a person recently had the coronavirus, tries to find people who are cured of it to try to spread that. A U.S. Navy the U.S. Navy relieved a commander who reported a COVID-19 outbreak aboard the aircraft carrier, which is pretty despicable because he was just doing his job and trying to save the lives of his crew members. Uh, COVID-19 testing has been backed up since the beginning and it's still backed up. Um, New York City paramedics were told not to bring cardiac arrest to ER. It may have gotten better from then. That was like a week ago. The UK Prime Minister was in intensive care after symptoms worsened. Um, and actually, that was his fault for not really taking the coronavirus seriously in the beginning. New York, the state alone, has more cases than any other country in the world. The White House press secretary Stephanie Grisham left after 8 months and never giving a White House briefing. Joined the First Lady's team. By the way, if anyone knows who the First Lady is, please let me know because Melania Trump doesn't seem like a First Lady to me. So let's see. Wisconsin Republican-led legislature wanted to keep a primary date despite concerns from the governor over the coronavirus. Their candidates already picked, but the Republicans were risking Democrats' lives for some reason. Wisconsin had their primary not too long ago. The Democratic governor then issued an executive order to move the primary date for the safety of his people, but the Republican-led state Supreme Court shot the order down. The GOP shot down most polling places. Wisconsin's people picked Democrat over Trump's endorsed judge. Boris Johnson got out of intensive care, which is good news. Rich Americans are moving into their underground bunkers as escape plans. Texas wanted to ease the lockdown under executive orders to restore livelihoods. Governor says that was the governor's idea, and to all the states that are reopening right now, I'd say it's a bad idea. Like golf courses, I think is a good idea, and things where social distancing is already something that's in the idea, but for places like movie theaters or places where you're naturally in close proximity with people, like even haircut places or places like that, I think is just a bad idea. It's too early and it's going to cause a spike in cases, sadly. Russian leader Vladimir Putin called on a joint effort with the United States in battling the coronavirus. Mexico agreed to cut oil production by 100,000 barrels a day following a call of Trump. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said Trump offered to cut oil production by 250,000 barrels a day to compensate for Mexico. Mexico previously declined to cut production. A deal was reached by OPEC, Russia, and major oil producers to cut oil production by 10 million barrels in May and June. Trump tries to rush opening the country again. Yeah, he's done that a couple times now. Biden, former Senate staffer, and filed a criminal complaint against Biden. The Republican-led state Supreme Court shot the order down. Sorry, I repeated that twice. That was about the Wisconsin primary. Bernie Sanders officially dropped out of the race. Sanders endorsed Biden and is working with him. Former presidential candidate Michael Bennet endorsed Biden. Barack Obama endorsed Biden for president. The Government Accountability Office are conducting 30 audits and is out of Trump's reach for being legislative. The New York City mayor closed schools the rest of the year. Trump fired the Intelligence Committee watchdog who sent Congress a whistleblower complaint that led to the impeachment, because that's who he is. But along with New York City, I think New York, Texas, and Illinois have closed all schools for the year. So, my school is still like telling us to do the e-learning, but we're not going back to school. So that's something. Wish we were, but in normal times. But I completely understand and I'm happy. I guess kind of being a senior it sucks, but it makes a lot of sense to close school because of the obvious risk, especially with my school being a bit bigger risk than most. Let's see. Oh yes, along with the many stupid claims Trump has said over the past month, he said he had absolute authority to reopen the country. He's been putting blame on basically everyone, the WHO, the governors, but not himself. Governor Andrew Cuomo said he was a president, not a king. The governors say they will decide when to reopen the country. Trump put Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner on the new task force to open the country. No Dr. Fauci or medical experts because they're stupid. But thankfully, the governors are acting on their own accord and not listening to the new stupid force that he had made. The sad thing is that there's some governors that are really bad, like Florida's governor and Georgia's governor, who are trying to appease Trump. So that's the sad news, but some governors like Cuomo and Pritzker actually have some common sense, and that's New York and Illinois' governors. So thankfully, there's some that and Michigan's governor is really good. Let's see. The U.S. Navy claimed Iran's navy taunted U.S. ships in the Persian Gulf. After an hour, Iranian vessels finally responded to the U.S. to move farther away from U.S. ships. Trump said it shoot down any Iranian ships that harass U.S. ships. So that was kind of a funny thing that he tweeted about Obama, like I think toward his first or second term, I don't remember, but he tweeted to Obama saying like, of course, since like your your re-election's coming up, you're gonna be desperate and attack Iran or Syria. And then he talks about potentially starting a conflict with Iran when, his polling numbers aren't doing that well, especially since we're in a crisis. You'd expect the country to rally around the leader. It's not what happened here at all. So that's something, but at the same time, I actually agree with this decision because I really hate Iran, to be honest. Like, not the people, but the government and the stupid, like, Revolutionary Guard and their regime. So, when I saw that they were harassing U.S. ships, I don't like the U.S. being totally defenseless about it. And I say that if they're provoking U.S. ships, then they should be able to blow them out of the water, no matter the consequences. Just blow those assholes out of the water. So the U.S. economy has erased nearly all the job gains from the Great Recession. Okay, so April 11th, there were 1.7 million cases, 104,000 dead, 390,000 recovered. U.S. numbers 500,000 cases, 18,000 dead. That was April 11th. The U.S. surpassed Italy for the most coronavirus cases. Yeah, that was around April 11th. Experts say it is an underestimation. 300,000 return to work in Madrid as Spain lifts some restrictions. It seemed too early. The Red Sox were penalized for a scandal. And by the way, New York did a pretty big antibody study, and they found from 3,000 people in New York that in New York, the state of New York, I think it was like a 20% infection rate. So even though they say there's like 200,000 cases in New York, it's actually like 2.7 million. So if you compare that to the rest of the country, then you can actually see how many people probably have this virus. Alright, I'm sorry. I don't want this to be super long. New Mexico bans mass gatherings at houses of worship. China restricts research to start of, yeah, I said that, of the COVID-19 origin. Los Angeles County extended stay-at-home order to May 15th. Let's see. Chipotle paid 25 million fine for tainted food. Trump calls for Dr. Fauci to be fired after Dr. Fauci admits lives would have been saved if the country shut down earlier. Dr. Fauci is much more popular than Trump. Trump suspended funding for the WHO. He pitted a false blame on them. Like I was saying, he did that to like many different people. And he says he takes no responsibility himself on anything, so that's something. A Russian fighter approached U.S. Navy aircraft over the Mediterranean Sea, second time in 4 days. Russia made unsafe maneuvers while intercepting U.S. aircraft. China revised the Wuhan death toll one day, and it marked a big markup, but they're still not even close to real numbers. The UN said pretty recently that Africa could see 300,000 deaths from coronavirus in a best case scenario. Texas closed schools, yep, I said that. China's economy shrank for the first time since 1976. Suck at China. Um, Florida opened some beaches. Minnesota allowed outdoor activities. Um, Experts say there's not even close on testing. There should be, I think it said there should be 3 times as many tests before they start opening up the economy. The Florida governor put on a mask wrong. That's how much of an idiot he is. Trump and Fox News are with protesters that protest the stay-at-home order. And I said, have fun spreading it, Trump supporters. A White House correspondent compared the people to Rosa Parks. Um, yeah, that's all I have to say on that. Wow. And by the way, so when I say have fun spreading it, Trump supporters, if you can just like congregate in one room and make sure that you don't come in contact with your neighbors that actually stay at home, if you could all just like go in a small room and infect everyone, all the Trump supporters, if you can all stay in a room and not infect the people who are actually like doing the order, that'd be great. Thank you. Just do a couple rallies. Thanks. U.S. factories in Mexico are still in operation in violation of federal orders. People are dying. So China thought that, and actually, sadly, it kind of worked, that since everyone's paying attention to the pandemic that's killing a bunch of people, they decided to act on Hong Kong, and they arrested 14 prominent pro-democracy activists for the 2019 protests that saw millions of people in Hong Kong come together against China. Um, yeah, so China, the world didn't miss it enough because there's multiple articles. Actually, I saw another article that came out about it recently, so didn't necessarily work the way you wanted it to. So suck at China, and Hong Kong stand with you, and hopefully you can be able to make some changes and push past their communist regime in Hong Kong. The White House faced backlashes after giving millions of dollars to big businesses that should have gone to small businesses. Congress and the White House are about to add $310 billion. Some call for additional oversight and rule changes to prevent big businesses from accepting any more money. I'm pretty sure Harvard took it initially, and then they got called out for it and stopped taking it. So yeah, people really didn't deserve it. Companies that really didn't deserve it were taking out of it. So thankfully that seems to be coming more in check now. South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee are easing coronavirus restrictions. Georgia's the dumbest one of all, because you're supposed to wait 14 days for the curve to go down and then you can start easing. Excuse me. But Georgia's cases were still going up, and the governor decided that it was a good idea to basically open everything up like an idiot. So yeah, and he said it himself that the cases will continue to go up. Let's see. April 19th numbers. If you look back at April 11th numbers now, or this is not now, April 19th, 2.4 million cases worldwide, 164,000 deaths, 624,000 recovered. In the U.S., 762,000 cases and 40,000 deaths, 70,000 recovered in the U.S. And just to make these numbers, it's crazy how much things have changed. So that was April 19th, I think I said. The first one was April 11th. And now I will go to today is technically April 25th because I'm recording this after midnight. So, yeah, for the worldwide cases, it says 2.8 million cases worldwide, um, which is crazy. 197,000 dead worldwide, 807,000 recovered. And then if you go to the United States, 900,000 cases worldwide and 52,000 deaths. So, yeah, the U.S. has gotten the brunt of the coronavirus, sadly. Actor Nick Cordero had his leg amputated during the coronavirus fight. A gunman in Nova Scotia evaded police for 12 hours after killing 16 people, one of Canada's deadliest mass shootings. Germany is pushing back the virus from massive testing and ICU bed capacity, opened some small businesses. Germany said a lockdown would return if a new wave of coronavirus would return, which makes sense. But I'm kind of worried since they seem to be opening a lot up. Hopefully, it doesn't come back. Two cats in New York got the coronavirus. CDC director, okay, this is very important. The CDC director warned that a second wave of coronavirus would hit this winter and would likely be more devastating than what we've dealt with so far. But Trump actually dismissed those comments and said that the second wave of the coronavirus wouldn't come, and if it did, it wouldn't be more devastating. So, of course, he had to contradict the experts. So, I think so far 4 million have been tested in the U.S. out of 330 million. Not close enough. Trump says there's enough testing because, of course, he would. Sweden may be getting through the coronavirus without a lockdown. They have a very good healthcare system. The FDA says coronavirus vaccine should be March 2021, but that's in a near best case scenario, so it could go into 2022. Let's see. Trump, I think this was actually cool, had the Thunderbirds and Blue Angels perform air shows in major cities as a tribute to the sacrifices of healthcare workers confronting COVID-19, a sign of American unity. But then he suspended immigration into America for infection protection. But that's actually just, I mean, that seems good, but you wonder if it's what he's been trying to do with the border, if it's like a racist thing. You never know with him. COVID-19 seems to cause strokes in young adults. In 2011, Osama bin Laden wanted to kill Obama so Biden would become president and take America. So we thought. That was Fox News dug up 8 years after. Um, the House of Representatives came back to Washington, D.C. There was a safety measures for the coronavirus, like separating into smaller groups to vote. Passed a Congress and Trump passed a $484 billion relief package to help small businesses, hospitals, first responders increase the national testing Trump suggested disinfectant to kill the virus inside the body. Lysol had to comment saying that's not a smart idea. Trump calls the disinfectant comment sarcasm, which it clearly wasn't. The Navy considers reinstating the fired captain. A guy warned about the coronavirus hit aircraft carrier. The true toll of the coronavirus in deaths from North Korea likely exceeds imagination, they said, and the regime is terrified of shockwaves that would rock society if the real impact is known, because North Korea is like the worst country you can imagine to get hit by the coronavirus, if you think about it, because they're all immunocompromised from not eating enough. Kim Jong Un may be dead. China sent doctors to help Kim Jong Un. I've not heard from him for a while. The new hospital built in Pyongyang is a part of propaganda. The U.S. was not one of the global leaders that pledged to accelerate cooperation for the coronavirus vaccine under the World Health Organization. The last cruise ships dock. XFL suspended operations. Expanded order bans travel between two residents in Michigan. Delta Airlines expects revenue over the next 3 months to be down 90%. Bill Withers is dead at 81. A fire in Florida destroyed 3,500 rental cars. Experts predict a July coronavirus resurgence. Social distancing stopped. If coronavirus social distancing stopped at May 1st, British bakers reintroduced World War II bread from the coronavirus fight. Um, so the coronavirus is going to get worse over this, but hopefully we can stand together as Americans and worldwide, because it's a worldwide issue. And hopefully we can stand together and eventually beat the coronavirus. So stay strong, stay safe, practice social distancing, and peace out.